Before we begin, think about that one friend who always checks on everyone else. That friend who never says no. The one who listens to everyone's problem. The one who always asks, "How are you?" Now ask yourself, when was the last time you asked them the same question and waited for the real answer? Because sometimes the strongest smile hides the deepest pain. The people who carry everyone else may be fighting battles nobody sees. And sometimes, by the time we realize someone needed us, it is already too late. Welcome to Bitter Truth Tales by Nato. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin. In the city of Enugu lived a man named Kelechi.
At 56 years old,
he had built a respected career as a banker. To many people, Kelechi was more than someone who worked in a bank. He was a problem solver. People who came to him when they needed direction. A young entrepreneur would ask him for his advice before starting a business. Someone confused about financial decisions would sit with him. A couple facing difficulties would seek his wisdom. The question people always asked was, "Kelechi, what do you think?" And somehow he always had an answer. What made people love him was not his knowledge, it was his heart. Kelechi remembered people. He remembered when someone's child had an examination. He remembered when a neighbor was sick. He remembered a friend's problem months after the conversation and would call, "Brother, how did that issue you told me about go?" Those little things made people feel important. To Kelechi, people were not just contact on his phone. They were human beings with worries, dreams, and struggles. Every day he checked on people. How is your family? How is your wife? How is business? How is your health? And when someone sounded different, he would ask, "Are you sure you are okay? Talk to me." Because he worked in a bank, many people came to him for financial advice. He guided young people starting business. He explained loan processes. He helped people understand money management. He believed that giving someone knowledge was more than simply giving them money. Help people stand on their own feet, he always said. People respected him. At work, his colleagues trusted him. In the neighborhood, people praised him. At church gathering and family events, his name was always mentioned. That man has a good heart. Kelechi will never ignore someone in need. And honestly, they were right. But there was one weakness hidden behind his kindness. Kelechi struggles to say no. He hated disappointing people. Even when he was tired, he listened. Even when he had his own responsibilities, he made time. Even when helping others created pressure for him, he still found a way. At home, his wife Adeze saw what others did not see. She saw the late night. She saw the stress. She saw the pressure behind his mind. One evening, after Kelechi spent hours helping a friend solve another problem, Adeze looked at him. "Kelechi, do you realize you spend more time solving others' problems than taking care of your own?" He smiled. "Adeze, if God has blessed us, we should bless others." She nodded. "I know. That is one of the things I love about you." She paused. "But you have to remember something." "What?" "You have a family too." Kelechi became quiet. Adeze continued, "I am not against helping people. I love your heart. But you cannot carry everyone and pretend you will never get tired." Kelechi smiled. "My love, I am fine." Those words became his answer to everything. When he was stressed, "I'm fine." When he was exhausted, "I am fine." When life became heavy, "I am fine." But Adeze knew something. Sometimes the people who say they are fine the most are the ones hoping someone will look closer. Years passed, and Kelechi remained the man everyone ran to. People knew where to go to when they needed advice. They knew who to call when they needed encouragement. They knew who would listen. But slowly, something dangerous was happening. Everyone knew what Kelechi could give, but very few knew how Kelechi was doing. Because nobody stopped long enough to ask him the question he asked everyone else: "How are you doing?" And one day, life would test the man who always had answers. Because even the strongest person eventually needs someone to lean on. For many years, Kelechi believed that helping people was one of the greatest purposes in life. He never helped people because he wanted praise. He never expected anyone to repay his kindness. He simply believed that when you have the ability to lift someone, you should. But sometimes the person you help can become the reason your life changes forever. Might be for good or bad. Nobody really knows. Chinedu was Kelechi's closest friend. They had known each other for years. They celebrated good times together and supported each other during difficult moments. So when Chinedu came to him with a business idea, Kelechi gave him his full attention. Brother, I know this business can grow, Chinedu said. I just need financial support to expand. Kelechi listened carefully. He studied the plan. He asked questions. He checked the risk. After considering everything, he believed in his friend. This can work, Kelechi said. Chinedu smiled. You really believe in me? Yes, but remember, sometimes getting money is not the difficult part. Managing it wisely is what matters. Through his position at the bank, Kelechi guided Chinedu through the loan process. He explained the requirements, he advised him on repayment, and because he trusted his friend, he agreed to stand as his guarantor. When the loan was approved, Chinedu was emotional. Brother, I will never forget this, Kelechi smiled. Do not thank me. Just make sure you make good use of the opportunity. For the first 2 years, everything went well. Chinedu business grew. The workers were paid. The loan repayment came on time. Kelechi was happy because he believed he had helped someone build a better future. But slowly, things started changing. The business was doing well, but Chinedu's lifestyle began changing too. He started spending more. He wanted to look successful. He made decisions based on appearance rather than stability. Kelechi noticed. One day he sat with him. Chinedu, I hope you are being careful. Chinedu laughed. Brother, everything is fine. Things are working. Kelechi looked at him seriously. I am happy for your success, but success requires wisdom. Do not allow what you have today to destroy what you are building tomorrow. Chinedu listened, but he believed he understood his situation better. Then came the decision that worried Kelechi the most. Chinedu wanted to relocate his family abroad. He believed it would give them a better life. When he shared the plan, Kelechi became concerned. Chinedu, have you really thought about this? Yes, I have. There is nothing wrong with traveling, but think carefully, Kelechi explained. Your business is here in Nigeria, your income is here, but your expenses will now be in another currency. He paused. You cannot run a business here while paying heavy bills abroad without proper planning. The pressure can become too much. But Chinedu was confident. Kelechi, you worry too much. I know what I'm doing. Kelechi wanted to argue, but he stopped. He had always believed in allowing people to make their own decisions. At first, everything looked perfect. Chinedu's family settled abroad. Pictures showed happiness, a new environment, a new beginning. People congratulated him. But behind those pictures, reality was becoming difficult. Living expenses increased. The money leaving Nigeria became more than the business would comfortably support. Slowly, the business started struggling. The same company that once paid the loan without problem began missing payment. At first, Chinedu promised things would improve, but they did not. The bank started asking questions. Meetings were held, and then Kelechi faced the reality he never expected. He was the guarantor. Kelechi tried reaching Chinedu. He called. He sent messages. He tried to find solution. But the friend who once called him every day became distant. The person whose dream Kelechi helped build was suddenly difficult to reach. Eventually, the situation affected Kelechi's career. After years of dedication, he lost his job. The news shocked many people. The same man who advised others about financial decisions was now facing a financial crisis of his own. But losing his job was not the deepest pain. The deepest pain was that Chinedu never came. He never visited. He never asked, brother, how are you coping? How are we going to solve this? Because Kelechi was responsible for the debt. He had to pay. He sold his car. He sold properties he had worked years to acquire. He used his saving. Everything he built slowly disappeared. Not because he was careless, not because he was greedy, but because he trusted someone at home and they stood beside him. He never blamed him. She knew his heart. She knew he helped Chinedu because he wanted him to succeed. But she also knew he needed to change. One evening, she sat with him. Kelechi, I know why you did this. He looked at her. You wanted to help him. She paused. But helping people should not mean destroying yourself. Kelechi looked away. He needed someone to believe in him. Adeze held his hand. I know, but remember something. She looked into his eyes. You have a family too. After everything happened, Kelechi expected one thing, not money, not someone to solve all the problem. Just friendship, a call, a visit, a simple question. Brother, how are you holding up? But the people who once filled his phone with requests became quiet, and Kelechi discovered something painful. Some people did not miss him. They missed what he could do for them. The man everyone trusted had lost his position, his wealth, and his security. But the biggest battle was just beginning, because losing everything outside was painful, but losing himself inside was even worse. After losing his job and most of what he had built, Kelechi changed, not in a way that everyone could see. He still smiled. He still greeted people warmly. He still gave advice when someone asked. But inside, he was tired. The man who once walked into a room with confidence now spent many nights sitting quietly, wondering how his life had changed so quickly. His career was gone. His savings were reduced. His property were sold. The future he once imagined looked uncertain. But what hurt him most was not losing money. It was feeling forgotten. For years, people came to Kelechi because he had answers. Now he was the one searching for answers. Yet, Kelechi refused to let anyone see his struggle. Whenever someone asked, Kelechi, how are things? He smiled. I'm fine. Whenever someone noticed he looked tired, don't worry, I'm fine. Whenever Adeze looked at him with concern, I will be okay, but Adeze knew the truth. Sometimes people say they are fine because they don't know how to say they are not. She saw the things others ignored. She saw him sitting awake late at night. She saw him calculating bills. She saw him staring at old documents from the life he had lost. She saw him carrying pain silently. One evening, she sat beside him. Kelechi, yes? Promise me something. What? If things became too heavy, tell me. He smiled. Adeze, I can handle it. She looked at him. That is the problem. What do you mean? You have spent your whole life helping people, but you never learned how to allow people to help you. Kelechi became quiet. He loved his wife because she saw beyond his word. She saw the man behind the strength. As time passed, Kelechi became less visible. The meeting he once attended became fewer. The gathering where people always look for his advice became placed with void. People noticed his absence, but many noticed because they needed him. I wanted to ask Kelechi about something. I need his opinion. I hope he comes around soon. But very few people asked, is Kelechi okay? Adeze became worried. She saw her husband needed people around him. Not money, not solution, just friendship. So without telling him, he called some of his close friends. One friend answered, Adeze, is everything all right? She hesitated. Kelechi has been going through a difficult time. I think he needs his friend around him. The friend became concerned. I understand. I have actually been meaning to call him. Please do. I will. Another friend said, I will visit him this weekend. Another said, we should all meet and spend time with him. Adeze felt relieved. At least they knew. At least they cared. But days passed, then weeks. The call did not come. The visit did not happen. Everyone had good intentions. Everyone planned to reach out, but nobody acted. And sometimes a person can feel alone even when people cared about them. Then come the health problem. The weight of everything Kelechi had endured began to take a serious toll on him. The pressure, the disappointment, the losses, and the feeling of being forgotten slowly pushed him into depression. The man who had once full of confidence and hope was now fighting battles that nobody could see. His blood pressure became dangerously unstable, rising like a skyscraper that never stopped climbing. His condition was no longer only a battle of the mind, it was slowly breaking down his health. The pain he had hidden from everyone was beginning to speak through his body. At first, Kelechi ignored the warning signs. the constant tiredness, the weaknesses, the lack of energy. He convinced himself it was just stress. After everything he had experienced, he believed his body was only reacting to the difficult season he was passing through. Adeze, I'm fine. But he was not. The symptoms continued until Adeze finally convinced him to see a doctor. After several tests were carried out, the doctor sat across from him. Kelechi, we need to discuss your condition. The seriousness in the doctor's voice immediately made his heart sink. The results were not good. His health was failing, and he needed urgent treatment. For the first time in many years, Kelechi had no advice to give, no solution to offer, no confidence to hide behind. On their way home, Adeze held his hand. Kelechi, we need to tell people. He shook his head immediately. No. She looked at him with concern. Why? I don't want them to worry. Kelechi, you have spent your whole life worrying about them. He looked away. I don't want people to see me differently. And that was the truth. It was not only about sickness, it was about pride. Kelechi had always been the person people ran to for help, advice, and encouragement. He did not know how to become the person who needed others. Even while battling his own health problem, he remained the same person. He still checked on people. He still called friends. One afternoon, he called an old friend. Brother, how are you doing? The friend sounded excited. Kelechi, my brother, it has been a while. They exchanged greetings, and soon the friend began sharing his own struggles, work problems, family issues, business decisions. Kelechi listened patiently. He gave advice. He encouraged him. The conversation lasted almost an hour. Before ending the call, the friend said, Kelechi, I honestly don't know what I would have done without you. Kelechi smiled. Take care of yourself, brother. The call ended. The room became silent. For a moment, Kelechi wished his friend had asked the question he had asked countless people before. Before we talk about my problem, how are you really doing? But the question never came, and his condition became worse. Hospitals became a familiar place. The man who once helped people plan their future was now uncertain about his own, yet he continued hiding the truth. Whenever someone asked, how are you, Kelechi? He gave the same response, I'm fine. Those two words became the biggest lie of his life. Because he was not fine. His body was tired. His mind was exhausted. His heart was heavy. One evening, Adeze found him sitting alone after another hospital visit. She sat beside him. Kelechi, do you know what hurt me the most? He looked at her. It is not that you are sick, she paused. It is that you are surrounded by people who know your kindness, but very few know your pain. Kelechi lowered his head. For the first time, he had no answer. Adeze held his hand. Kelechi, he looked at her. It is okay not to be okay. Those words stayed with him because he had spent his life giving everyone permission to be vulnerable, but he never gave himself that same permission. The man who always asks, how are you? Finally understood the pain of waiting for someone to ask him the same question. The war did not stop when Kelechi became sick. That was the painful reality he had to accept. While he fought for his life continued around him. The streets of Enugu remained busy. People went to work, businesses opened, families celebrated, children laughed. The world kept moving, with or without him. The man who once spent his entire life making time for everyone had discovered that life could continue even when he was struggling. Kelechi's condition became worse with every passing week. The man who once walked confidently into the bank now moved slowly through hospital corridors. The man who once listened to everyone's problem now spent his days listening to doctors explaining his own. But even then, he still cared about others. One evening, Adeze entered his hospital room and found him holding his phone. Who are you calling? He asked. Kelechi smiled. Just checking on someone. Adeze looked at him sadly. Kelechi, you are here receiving treatment and you are still checking on others. He smiled. They may need someone. She sat beside him. And who checks on you? One afternoon, he called one of his closest friends. Kelechi, my brother, it's been a while. They exchanged greeting. Then the friend said, I've been meaning to call you. We've noticed you've not been around the Christian Fathers meeting and even the club meetings. For a moment, Kelechi felt hope. Maybe someone had noticed. Maybe someone cared. But before he could say anything, the friend continued. Life has been busy. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about something. The conversation changed. The friend needed advice. Kelechi listened. He encouraged him. He gave solution, as always. Before ending the call, the friend said, "Thank you. I don't know how to do without you." Kelechi smiled. "Take care of yourself." The call ended. He looked at his phone quietly. He wished his friend had asked one more question. Not, "Can you help me?" but "How are you?" He called another friend. The same thing happened. One needed business advice. Another needed his opinion. Another wanted help solving a personal problem. Everyone came with something to say. Nobody stayed long enough to hear what Kelechi was not saying. Meanwhile, Adeze continues trying. She secretly called some of his friends. "Please check on him. He needs his friends around him. He needs encouragement." The response sounded caring. "I will call him. I will visit soon. We should arrange something." But days passed, weeks passed, everyone planned. Everyone intended to come, but nobody came. Sometimes people do not lose someone because they do not care. Sometimes they lose someone because they believe there's always more time. As Kelechi became weaker, Adeze stayed beside him. One evening, he looked at her. "Adeze, yes, was I wrong?" She held his hand. "Wrong about what? Helping people." Her eyes filled with tears. "No, Kelechi, your heart was never the problem." "Then what was?" She looked at him. "You forgot that you were also someone worth helping." Those words hit hard because they were true. One morning, Kelechi's condition became critical. The doctors tried everything they could. Adeze sat beside him, holding the hand that supported friends, the hand that carried burdens. She whispered, "You spent your whole life carrying people. I wish you had allowed people to carry you." That afternoon, Kelechi passed away, quietly. When the news spread across Enugu, people were shocked. "Kelechi is gone." But he was fine. Was he sick? Nobody told us. I was even planning to call him. I was planning to ask him, "Oh, how? When?" Those words were repeated everywhere. At the funeral, 100 gathered. People spoke about his kindness. They remembered his advice. They remembered the time he helped them. Then Chinedu arrived, the friend whose loan had changed everything, who disappeared when Kelechi lost his job. In his hand was an envelope containing a bank check, his funeral contribution. People whispered, "At least he came." He still remembered his friend. But Adeze looked at the envelope differently. She remembered everything Kelechi went through, the job he lost, the properties he sold, the pain he carried. After the service, Chinedu approached her. "Adeze, please accept this." She looked at the check. "This is for the funeral." "Yes." She took a deep breath. "Chinedu, do you know what hurt the most?" He looked at her. "Kelechi did not need this money now that he's dead." Her voice shook. "He needed a friend when he was alive." Silence filled the environment. "You are bringing money to bury the man who lost everything because he believed in you." Chinedu lowered his head. For the first time, he understood the weight of his absence. During the funeral service, an elderly man stood before everyone. How many people here received help from Kelechi? Almost everyone's hand went up. Then he asked, "How many people here truly asked Kelechi how he was doing?" Silence. No hands remained raised. Because everyone remembered calling him. Everyone remembered needing him. But very few remembered checking on him. Years later, people will still talk about Kelechi. They would remember his wisdom. They would remember his kindness. They would remember the life he touched. But his story would leave behind one question. How are you? Not as a greeting, not as a habit, but because sometimes the person asking everyone else that question is secretly hoping someone will ask them back. And sometimes, if we wait too long, the question comes too late.